Hello everyone, and welcome to another speed draw. I'm Dear Darling Honeyboy, and today I will be drawing the remaining two Guys Night outfits. For anyone who doesn't know, this is a phenomenon originating from Once Upon a Witchlight, which is a campaign played by the wonderful people over at Legends of Avantris. I drew two of them in a previous video, and today I will be drawing the remaining two. I'll be starting off today's video with drawing Gricko Grimgrin, our favorite unhinged goblin. Roll the tapes.
Me want to get out of this show.
The costume of a taxidermied mouse.
God. Perfect.
And it's just the mouse costume from Mean Girls.
Gricko.
But like I have like giant like googly eyes for like really badly taxidermy, and like they're stitching, for glass eyeballs. I'm a mouse. See my ears? Duh.
I didn't record the first half of the video. Oh my god, I'm gonna lose it. Out of all things, I think I missed recording the Gricko bit. I hate everything. Well, let's do it now again, huh? Let's do it. Okay. Alright. We're going to be recording the Gricko bit again. I missed to record it. If I'm slightly losing my shit. And I am. So, this is the final speed draw I made. So, this is having all the previous 3 speed draws in mind. As you can see here, I started to just do a sketch, try to do another one, and said, nah, I'm gonna stick with the first one, which was a very good move. And it's, again, something I should have done, especially with Gideon's, if you saw that from the last video. We got a very good visual description that I could work off of. I didn't need to think of the outfit, I didn't need to think of the pose, I could just go with it. Trying to figure out Gricko's proportions was very difficult because, first of all, it's a goblin. I have not drawn goblin proportions before, and also the original art doesn't really tell me anything about his body shape because of how his clothes look. I thought it was going to be hard to draw his face, also because of face proportions. After I whipped out the nose shape though, it just worked. For the other speed draws, I got really hung up on the eyes, but since it's like googly eyes, bad taxidermy, it just was so much easier. It eliminated that problem. Instead, you'll see that I will get very hung up on the hair in this one. Also, trying to get his ears in was like, I could not do it without it tangenting with a hand. So I decided to fudge it. If you don't know what the tangent is, it's where a area of the drawing becomes very visually busy, like it's a lot of lines that go there, and they don't really overlap in a way that makes perspective make sense. So it drags the eye there, and it doesn't look very good. Do you need to be super aware of it and so on? No. Am I? Yes. I did have fun drawing his hand there. I think it ended up looking nice, and it didn't take me 100 years, which I thought it would. Last time was like, oh, it took a lot of time. And now it's like, I thought it would take a lot of time, but it didn't. I just have a small brain tangent about like prestidigitation, which prestidigitation is the reason why this entire situation happens, because Kremi cleans Torbek using prestidigitation, and but you can also soil things with prestidigitation, which I find fucking hilarious. I would really love to see like a use of that. And also, what do you soil it with? Can you choose that? Is it just you summon random filth? Prestidigitation is so much more than cleaning, and I would love to see more creative uses of it. I love creative uses of spells or skills and so on when you play role-playing games. It's just very nice. Something that was very funny with like the stitching on the dress was that I drew the stitching and then I just erased it and drew it back in like the exact same place. I feel like it's not an uncommon thing to do, but it's very funny. So something that was like a big improvement from the other three was the speed of doing line art. It took me like an hour or 45 minutes, which is a huge step up from earlier. Just deciding to like commit to the lines. I didn't redraw them a lot. And working zoomed out, it really did a lot for the time of the process, but also like it didn't turn out worse particularly. It gave it another quality, sure, but I wouldn't say that it looks particularly worse. If there's noise in the back, thank you for demonstrating. If there's noise in the background and it sounds like the dropping pipe effect, it's because they're doing construction outside of my house, but I really couldn't like wait doing the video much longer. I wanted to do it yesterday, but they were literally drilling outside of my house from from like the second they could at like 10 o'clock or something a.m. to like 8 p.m. and I was just walking around my home like, can they stop so I can start recording? No. I also like recording in daylight. So that was, that was a lost cause. Felt like I had a lot to say the first time around and I forgot it. So with this one, I actually decided to leave in me doing the flats. Is it interesting? No. Does it like kind of tie the piece together and doesn't make a huge jump? Yes. I spoilers, I do re-ink it because that was in a moment of weakness. So the flats turned out to go like a bit over the lines because I went in with a thinner brush and I moved like parts of the dress and so on, but it's not really noticeable. It just bothered me a bit. Also, like trying to, it's the same effect as with the creamy one, like trying to match warm colors and green is very difficult. And I felt like, especially with Gricko being a blonde bitch, just being blonde, that color in particular, I just had a really hard time with. And it presented kind of the same problem with what color do I use to shade. So my solution to that was just not using a multiplier like I'm used to, and just using an overlay layer instead, because it doesn't really add that much of a hue to it. It more makes the color It doesn't really add a hue as much as it just makes the color like deeper and more saturated. So that worked more in my favor. Just using my favorite brush again, the 2020, the 30-30-40. I really liked how it in this rough version how it turned out on the arm and the hand. Sadly, when I go in with other blends, I muddy that out and I change the shape, and it's tragic. But what to do? Nothing. I also, with this one, came to the genius realization that I can I also came to like the genius realization that I can screen record at a lower FPS and speed it up more. So that was huge. That's something I'm gonna put in the back pocket. Something I'm going to do from now on. Game changer. So there you can see I re-inked it, and I did it because all the other pieces used a 30 pixel brush, and on this one I used a 50. And although it didn't look bad, it looked rougher, and it definitely made it a huge quality difference. So I felt like, okay, we have to redo it to make it more consistent. Would I have made it as a standalone piece? I probably wouldn't. I would have probably just gone in and like made the lines another color to just soften them out a bit that way. But I didn't. Here you can see you can see that on the line art as well, but I do get really hung up on the hair. And I also edited away a lot of me futzing with the hair. It's I don't really know why that became a hang-up. But it's an interesting thing to note. Maybe that was why like the Grimmy one went easier, because he just doesn't have hair. Just leaving in the rendering because again, I think it's satisfying to watch. I think it's nice. Here you can see I go up with a brush called Soft Melting Blur. I think I go in with the basic blend softer after. I don't really know why. Again, made the quality different, muddy out the arm, the forearm, but it gave a nice effect on other places. And that kind of thing just scratches my perfectionist brain a bit more, even though it doesn't make it as dynamic. So here I go in with the light. Same as with the shading, I had a hard time kind of deciding what color. I ended up on a orange, and I think it made it made it look nice. I did feel like it looked like a bit flat or a bit uniform, but then I came in with that rim lighting again. It really comes through every time. So adding that blue really, I felt like it made it colorful in a new way, especially because how the mouse ears became so pink. I feel like really doing the shading double up with blending the light as detailed as I do the shadows. I don't know if it's double the work for like unnecessarily, but you know, we can work on that in the future. Right now, I'm just gonna be happy about the progress I made for now. Let me just laugh at the construction workers while I don't have anything to say. I really can't remember if I had any like witty. No. I'm brain empty. I also again forgot like body and facial hair, since you have like a bit of it. So I added it in just stubble with the normal ink brush that I use, and a body hairbrush for the armpit hair, trying to add some texture on the dress so it didn't just look like a solid 3D shaped, like like you could knock on it. But it was difficult. I think originally it's lace, or something like that. Difficult. I decided that I didn't do it. And then I just went in to do like highlights on the eyes. Just classic round brush. I wasn't sure how I was gonna get like the effect, the glass effect. But I just decided that I didn't give a fuck. So, and that's okay. Also went in with an overlay layer to do some extra shading on the stitches because it didn't really come through properly, and added like a glitter effect on the bow. Not necessarily because it's glittery, but more because I feel like silk bands kind of reflect lights in a way that I wanted to capture. Just like the last time I did the background off screen. Once again, graphic design being my burden, and like, which way should I put the stripes? My boss is calling me. Where should I put the stripes? Which way? But it turned out well, actually. Trying to place the name was difficult, but it ended up being like a little signature in the corner, and it's nice. It's nice, I'd say. Next up is the arguably most popular outfit, and the one that started it all, worn by our favorite stinky, disgusting bugbear man, Torbek. Roll the tapes.
You rummage through, and of all the things you find, the only thing that looks like it's going to fit you is a Playboy bunny outfit with very large ears.
Guys?
Fishnet tights, little cuffs.
The hair is just pouring out of the fish. You like can't even see it. Well, this is the only thing that fits Torbek, so...
Oh yeah, it's a funny joke. Yeah, it's a funny joke.
Gideon, will you please tighten my bra?
Yeah. Oh wow, that's really jammed straight up your ass crack. Let's see if I
Ouch! I think Torbek is in.
Now you've seen me at my best, it's time to see me at my worst. This is the first speed draw I made, because, you know, of course, I'm a bit biased. I'm a bit biased towards Torbek, and I was excited to make it. Again, I've never seen myself draw, and I didn't really have an understanding of why things were like they were. I also didn't know like how things look sped up, so I was just going about my natural process on this one. And it's weirdly jumpy, and ends up the cam ends up in weird places after very short periods of time, and that's because apparently the way I have drawn is I work very zoomed in, I zoom out, I move the canvas just a little bit, and then I zoom in again, which just doesn't only turn out into like a very strawby in and out, but a very annoying in and out movement. It also ends up being like a very small circle movement, and it does give you eye strain. Trying to edit this gave me such eye strain that I couldn't look at a screen for like 2 days. I am not kidding you. But I've managed to salvage. I've managed to salvage some of the footage. The first few sketches were really dynamic, and I liked I wanted to emphasize the weird long limbs. But it ends up not being like that, and I'm actually not too mad about it because the effect I ended up with, you'll see later. Apparently, I just love foreshortening. I really do. Also, very happy that I didn't have to bother with Torbek's tanks and mechanical bits on the back. I was very oh no, I will have to deal with that. And then I realized in canon, he does not have that yet. So that was a fucking blessing. You can see me trying to work on perspective here. Because although I kind of abandoned the dynamic arm on the side idea, or in front idea, I decided to go for a different angle. No pun intended. Trying to emphasize the fact that this man is 7 feet tall or something. I wanted to get you're looking up at him. It at some point ended up being an effect that I questioned, but I'll also get to that. Since I've seen so many people draw it already, I wanted to take my own spin on it. So the dynamic posing and so on was very important to me. I futzed off recording, as I do, and he turned out very wide. And he's canonically very skinny, and trying to do that was difficult for me. Because I was also how cinched can I make him? But I feel like if Gideon is the one very harshly tightening your corset, I'm pretty sure you're gonna look snatched. I fear. And I fussed off screen, and all of a sudden the face looks like ass. I will go back and change that, I think, multiple times. Because, again, this is me at my worst. This took so much time. It took me 2 weeks or something of working. I did complete line art, or not complete line art. I did line art, and then I was I'm not really happy with this. So I was fuck it, this is another sketch layer, and just kind of gave up on it before just doing it all over again. This is the first lesson I kind of learned and took to heart when I made these speed draws, is how zoomed in I'm working. Because it makes me focus on details that no one will ever see. So you can see that I'm very, very tidy with my lines. And although it gives a great effect and makes the quality it's just so time consuming and in reality unnecessary. I'm going in and doing this to see that I'm rendering the hair very in great detail with, I don't know, the lines at the end. Is it necessary? No. Do I look back on this piece and go, man, that's good? I do. I don't know how many iterations of the face I made, but I ended up with something, again, that I'm happy with. Trying to stick to the original design was difficult, just because I felt like the kind of semi-realism that I do don't really allow for that amount of cartoonishness. I'm not happy about it, just because, it's a great expression and it is the original design, but I ended up being happy with it. I was happy with the result, but not happy with the was happy with the result, but not happy with the process. I kind of had a realization at some point that this started to look like a kind of art that I may not want to be associated with. It turned out looking like something that some people are very, very into, and that made me uncomfortable. So I censored it a little bit, and it turned out great after that. I was like, okay, this is fine. Also, like, I was familiar with bugbears because of Torbek, but I hadn't really looked closely at them or thought of how they looked really. And their fur coverage is very interesting to me, just because it's like limbs, very hairy, chest, bare. It's like that was an interesting choice, because you would have thunk, wouldn't you, that it would look different. The hand, you could see when I was sketching, I was struggling with the hand a lot. Ended up being good, but I did have some struggles with it. Also, the description was a Playboy bunny outfit with very large ears. And here's the thing: trying to get large ears into a canvas without making everything smaller is very difficult. So I just decided to disregard it. It's called artistic choices, all right? Artistic freedoms. Doing the cuffs was really funny because I didn't really know what the actual shape was, so I just put it like it was a clip or something. Just had to go and look like what does it look like. I went in this one and did the flats with the polygon lasso tool. What do you call it? And I thought it would be a lot more eye strainy than it was. So trying to balance like the color of the fur and the skin. I just want skin.
I just want your skin.
And again, with the fur coverage, I was like, how am I supposed to do this? But then I realized that Torbek is mangy, it's so emphasized how just wrong, how wrong he is. So I decided to be like, okay, we're gonna take the angle that even someone who hasn't interacted with bugbears could kind of look at him and go, I don't think that's right. I think it's something wrong with it. So I made his fur very patchy and not dense. Just because it makes it look it makes it look nastier. But I still tried to get like satisfying shapes in, or what have you. I wanted to have a certain kind of shape language, so I tried to keep it to big shapes as well. Which it was a lot of back and forth trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. And you can see I censored. I took a vow of no crotch. Because I thought like cropping just above the crotch would be would make it better, and I think it made it worse. So I just cropped it. And you can see here I'm going in with like making the what you would call it, like the end of the tufts of hair darker to get the effect that it's like greasy and dirty. I don't know if it comes through in the final product. I was just, when doing it, I was like, this is brilliant, but also this is stupid because it takes time. So I just go in and add completely unnoticeable slight color shifts in the teeth. And then I tried to figure out like what color I wanted to do for the background. and you would, I feel like you would naturally lean towards the Witchlight purple or magenta, but I also tried to remember that that's not a thing with him yet. I did keep it for the eye color just because I thought it looked nice. And I did actually end up making 2 versions, one with magenta and one with red. I don't really know why I associate Torbek with red. I think maybe it's something about either Andy wearing a red shirt or just something about the portrait used. But here I'm blotting in the colors. Since it's a very uniform color scheme, I could do my favorite thing and just use a purple multiply layer. You could see I tried to, I was like, oh, I'm gonna clean up the blotting, but I decided that no, I didn't. And then I went and found the blend brush and started to do it a bit off screen, and then I realized like, oh, I'm gonna keep this. Oh shit! So it's like clicking Control C as far back as I could until I got and then I was like, they're not gonna know this, so like it's fine. Here's also a situation with where working very zoomed in became like a detriment because rendering hair for some reason just really gets me, because when it turns out well, it really turns out well, and I feel like the 2020-30 really does a good job sometimes rendering hair. And I apparently futzed with the face for 15 more minutes that I just cut out. Trying to render the hand, difficult for me. I also felt like for some reason everything kind of looked like shit. I just felt like blending really sucked that day, but looking at it now, it looks perfectly fine. I don't really know what I was on about. At the time, I did not know that the blend brush actually had an amount of paint in it. And I think maybe that was the problem, that I'd used it on an erase setting before, but it ended up being a colored setting now. And I also had that as a problem when I tried to blend the shadow of the cuff later. Just going in, trying to get, like, almost drawing every strand of hair. It's, I'm surprised because looking at this, it doesn't look as frustrating as it did with the Gideon one, which was the second one I did. But I think maybe it's because I cut out so much of it. It could also be a thing. I realized with like doing the shadows at some point, that's like, oh yeah, I can use the shading to enhance the perspective. Whoa. So I did that later. I was also very much struggling with the tummy, trying to get that. And then I added a little bit of like rim lighting, or like not having a shadow on a specific part of the corset that was in shadow in reality. I was like, very nice. Just makes it look even more snatched, which, great effect. Great. I didn't want to yassify him, but I don't know if I did. But, if I did, I couldn't help myself. Can't judge me. No one can judge me. So if any of you perverts or Italians want to have like the censored part rendered, I have a Patreon, and you can ask me for it in the Discord if you join. Wink wink. just rendering the fur. Felt like that was the greatest part with doing the creamy one, is that he just doesn't have fur or hair. Going in with the rim lighting. Here's, on this one, it actually was just a artistic choice. I just felt like, oh, it will look nice. And on the other ones, it just turned out like, no, maybe I should do that too. Oh, it works. So this is the first one. I went in with the red. I fussed with the magenta later, but I actually end up liking the red more. And in doing that, I also had to try to figure out what shade of black or gray I used for the corset, because I had a more blue one and a more like deeper color, which was more or less just red, a warmer shade of black or gray or brown or what have you. The gist of black. I'm just I don't know if it's lazy. I don't think it is. I don't think there's such a thing when you make art, but just using multiply layers for shading and color dodge layers for lighting, it works. It just works great. I just struggled on, like, why does it look so bad and uneven and blotchy, like the shading on the corset? And I just tried to, like, no matter how much I blended the color dodge layer, it didn't do anything. And then I realized, like, oh, it's the multiply layer. Oh. And it took me, like, an embarrassing amount of time to figure that out. I also had a hard time with, like, oh, I don't want it to look airbrush-y. I think it kind of didn't in the end. Just adding the rim lighting and blending it in real nice. Again, with, like... and then I tried to figure out the background. So for this one, I hadn't, like, put down a standard for how I would do it. So I just tried to figure out what looked good, and after I did it on this one, I just implemented it on the other three. So what I ended up with was just the solid color shapes. I started off with, like, airbrush, but in the end, like, the big solid color with the cast shadow, it looked good, especially on this one. Again, I really like it. I just don't like that it took, I don't know how long. I actually deleted the raw footage, so I can't really look it up now. I did the text effect for the first time, and I just wrote, oh yeah, hit him with a gush and blur. try to figure out what was wrong, and then I was just like, nah, just crank that blur layer. And then doing, like, a pupil or something like it. I started with doing just highlights, the the classic blob highlights, but it just looked like his eyes were very wet, like he was sad or just very baby. I ended up doing pupil in white, and again, effect, great. So with that, we're done. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I really hoped you enjoyed both these two drawings and seeing the progress, because I surely do. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. I do have a Patreon where you can get these as high-res PNGs for all your perverted or Italian wants and needs. You can also get access to a Discord and my comic and my eternal gratitude, if that interests you. I do also have a Twitch where I try to stream sometimes. Hope I see you in the next one. Peace out. Thank you to my darling Patreons, Erik Mellesdal and Dean Sabine. You're the best. Today, I will be drawing your mom. I'll be drawing your mom. So with that, we're done. And with that, and with that, piss. And with that, and with that, yes.